Welcome back, everyone, to the Bitcoin Business Bureau. As always, I'm your host, Litecoin Leader, and it's coin time for our subscribers, no less. So we're going to talk about a coin that's a little bit off the beaten path, but it's been around for years. So this coin has fallen out of favor a lot. It has been down significantly since its all-time high, but it's actually addressing the DeFi sector long before DeFi was even a thing. So more on that coin and the details in a moment.
Just a quick reminder that nothing in this video is considered financial advice. I am not your financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Seek out your own advice and do your own diligence, do your own research. As always, we're going to start by taking a look at the ALTCOINopoly board. Now, we are looking at a zone that has not been explored yet. So, subscribers, congratulations. You're getting a clear and first look at what I call Zone 2. That is the left side of the board. So that's going to be this section right here, and that's going to be the zone I call DeFi or finance. So this is going to be an interesting segment of the board because you're going to see a lot of different. This is an underrepresented sector of crypto, but it's emerging. I think this is going to be one of the explosive sectors, and you have to have this as part of your portfolio, in my own opinion. So the first coin I want to talk about today is a coin I just mentioned it's been around for a long time, but this coin is called Populus or PPT. It's been around for more than 4 years. It's well down from its all-time high, but it's in a segment of business that is invoice financing. So that's a big sector of what banks currently do, and it affords people the opportunity to compete with banks and to do exactly what the banks do, to buy invoices from businesses that need to work on their cash flow. So you can make 10 or 15% in less than 6 months by buying an invoice, say that's worth $10,000 in 90 days from now, and buying it for $900 or $9,500. So that's what Populus does, and we're going to start to talk about that going forward in just a minute. Okay, so it's time to dive into a coin called Populus. Now, for those of you who are a little bit old school, you probably know what this coin is because it was very popular back in 2016, 2017, but it's been pretty stagnant since then until last December. But for me, it's a nice project to take a home run swing on, and that's the category I put it in. This is one you can throw some, not financial advice, but if you want to dabble in it, or the potential for a 10x or higher, it's certainly there. So first off, what is the coin? Populus, what do? They are involved in invoice financing. If you do not know what that is, let me explain it to you. Basically, think of a small business or a medium-sized business, and they get invoices. In other words, they sell a product, they ship it to a customer, and then they bill them an invoice. They send them an invoice and say, you pay us money for what we just sent you. Now, those invoices have terms. They could be net 30, net 60, net 90, all the way up to net 180. But let's say it's 30, 60, or 90 days. That means that the person you ship the goods to has 30, 60, or 90 days to pay you for those goods. They owe you money. That's accounts receivable, accounts payable type transactions that businesses have to do. So what some companies do is they have to manage their cash flow very tightly. So if you have a $10,000 invoice hanging out there for 90 days that maybe Walmart or another big person or big company is agreed to buy it, those goods, maybe you can't wait all 90 days. And I'm like, I would like to have, maybe you think I would rather have $9,000 today versus $10,000 90 days from now. So what you used to be able to do, and this is a big section of what banking is currently doing, is you would go to a local bank and say, here's my invoices. You know my business. I would do business with this bank, and they would buy that invoice from you for a discount. So they give you $9,000 today, knowing they would get $10,000 from a known creditor that's strong like Walmart, and they'd say, I can wait 90 days for 10 grand for a cost of 9 grand today. So that's what invoice financing is. What Populus is attempting to do and has done for the last several years, just on a very limited scale, is bring that out of the banking sector into the private sector. So if you wanted to go on to Populus's website and buy these invoices, you can personally. So you could say, I've got $9,000. I'll buy an invoice that's worth 10, 90 days from now, because that's a 10% return for 90 days. That's like 40+% per year. If I do 4 of those a year, I'm making good money. So that's what some people want to do. They want to become the bank. That's another way to be the bank. That's what Populous does. So I'm starting this video off in a little bit of a different order. I just want to show you that this is a total risk reward type coin. Here's the chart of this coin for the last 5 years. Now, this should probably scare most of you because it set a record. This is in BTC. I'm going to switch it real quick to USD. There we go. And you can see it had set an all-time high of roughly $75. There's some wicks here which may or may not have happened depending on which this is an aggregate look, but for all intents and purposes, the all-time high was $75, and now the coin is under 3. So, which is actually a good sign because the coin was below $1 at one point. So it lost 99% of its value at one point. But as you can see here, that there was some activity recently that drew some more interest, both in the middle of 2019, but really in the last 6 months. And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit, and why I think this is a coin to watch, and why it is associated with the DeFi sector, which is really taking off in the last year. And this was one of the first real DeFi coins. So as part of my homework that I like to do, I started to dig back through some older YouTubes, and I'm just going to share these. I'll put them in the description, but I'm not sure how valuable they will be. But just from a historical YouTuber standpoint, I thought they were kind of entertaining. So when I went through a lot of these videos, you could see a lot of them, very few videos were less than a year old. But going way back, there's BitBoy here from June of 2018. Nothing against him, but he looks like he just kind of, just rolled out of a frat boy party. But that was his look back then. And then there's Lark Davis, and Lark has a great, huge following now, but Lark's image has certainly matured since the time of this video. I'll just leave it at that. So not to speak of my appearance or my style just yet, which is everyone's evolving, but it's kind of interesting to see where Lark was at back then. Now, an interesting video popped up. All of the videos that popped up were like, this coin can moon, that sort of thing. But there was a good article from Coin Central way back from 2018 about what Populous does, and I will also put this in the description. Again, it talks about the invoice financing and kind of goes through what they do and how they this was $2.20 back then. Just talked about the problem they were trying to solve, how they were trying to decentralize finance, take it. The invoice financing was at one point roughly 80% of a bank's business. That's what the market has said. So it is a big business both for small businesses and also for the banking industry. To privatize that and make it decentralized, this is a big effort for the Populous project to take on. Now, it's not all roses here, so let me continue to go through the news, and then we'll talk about some things about the team. So, Economic Ninja pointed out something recently at the end of the year, December 31st. This is how some people work. This is how he spent his New Year's Eve. He found a video about decentralized finance of Populous and decided to share it. What it was a report that Populous commissioned that audited their own books and their own blockchain. And it was a pretty significant return. That's actually their pinned tweet. Here's their Twitter page at Bitpopulous. And here's the audit report. The audit report, you can just click on this and it'll go right through it. And it's a mixed review. It's a decent review, but not stellar, but not terrible. They were kind of middle of the road in what your blockchain was doing in your smart contracts, but the point was that Populous was being fully transparent, and that's been sort of one of the hang-ups with this project over time. The person that's in charge of Populous is actually named Steve Nico, and Steve Nico, he's got a little bit of a checkered past. That's just I will give you the good with the bad. Steve Nico at one point was in jail, and it was because of something he did in the financial sector where, I don't know if it's insider trading, I'm not exactly sure what the charges were, but he served his time and he was accused and convicted of something not great in the financial sector. But that's why they did the audit. Like, he's been trying to be above board ever since he got involved with Populous. So if you dig through how Populous has been going back to the chart again, you can see that it started way back before 2017 and has continued to evolve. So it's been around for 4 years. And Steve Nico's been with the project the entire time. The GitHub still remains active. You can see that they're still doing contracts as recent as 8 days ago. There's been visibility to this project throughout the several years, but the real pickup was in December, where not only did this report came out, but also talk of the particular PPT, the DeFi sector, with the DeFi getting really popular, no pun intended, but DeFi, and I believe that Populous has some intellectual property that they're working with and trying to push forward, and they're trying to get more and more involved in the DeFi sector because it's such a hot market right now, and they really should be one of the classic projects to emulate because their use case is solid. It's a proven use case. All they're doing is mimicking what banks already do and small businesses as well, and creating a different marketplace. So I think this project has some merit. I think there's a lot of upside, not a ton of downside. So it's worth a risk. No financial advice here. But if you're willing to take a gamble on a particular coin in a DeFi space of something that's been around for a while but might be overlooked, Populous might be a good coin to look at because they have been making some moves in the last 6 months, and they're about to launch something that could be quite interesting. They're going to be launching what they call Pop DeFi. So here is the one tweet right here in the middle. It's someone who follows them closely, Pop DeFi, who quoted Steve Nico that said, the protocol for decentralized finance, Pop DeFi, will be going live this weekend. They're even doing a larger launch any day now. I believe it's going to happen. Something more significant is coming out in June, which is part of the reason why I want to get Populous out there to the subscribers at this time. That's the news on this coin. Now let's take a look at the charts. So as mentioned before, the big picture chart is pretty ugly, right? Just to be honest about it. And it's looking at this is a coin. It was huge in 2017, 2018, and then it just rolled off the table, completely fell off the table. Oh. And then it just rolled off the table. It completely fell off the table. They lost 98, 99% of their value. But things are starting to emerge again. You could see this candle in mid-December as their audit was coming out, as the DeFi news was coming out that they're going to be leading the charge in the DeFi sector and kind of rebranding, repositioning themselves. It ran up to, we're going to zoom in now on the last 6 months to a year because I think that's a better indication of where this coin is headed. So this is a view of the last year. You can see that the coin against Bitcoin was actually increasing. There's the spike in volume of interest in December. It started to go upwards, and then it started to trail back down in the April-May timeframe, as most of the altcoins have been doing. In terms of US dollars, in similar time frame, you can see again that spike, and again this move upwards, and then this move back down in the last month or so. By using a Fibonacci retracement here, if you consider this a wave 1 followed by a wave 2, wave 3 could take this coin past its previous 2021 high of $7 into the $10 to $15 range. And you're buying this coin, if you're buying it, no financial advice, you're buying it under $3. So at 2.5, reasonable upside of 7, that's nearly a triple. $10 is a quadruple, and it could go up 6x pretty reasonably based on what the chart is telling me, especially if they get a new marketplace, more DeFi acceptance, and the team is really gets this kicking into high gear. So the downside risk to me is probably around $1 to $2. So yes, you could lose half of your money probably if you invested in this today. But you can go up 4x or 5x or even more, and that's what you call an asymmetric market. And you're looking for a bigger upside than downside. So to me, as a risk reward possibility, this is a strong coin to consider, especially if you want to have maybe a DeFi coin that's a little off the board, a little off the track, and not in the limelight just yet. You might be grabbing Populous at just the right time.
And there's the coin. The coin today is Populous. It is in the DeFi space on the board and on the sector and in the area of, like, I think it's zone 2. That's going to be about our finance. And that's one of the first coins that we're talking about in this space, in this region of the board. So subscribers find out first what that section of the board is all about. You're going to be seeing more coins along that section of the board. Populous is one of the first. It's also one of the oldest. It's been out there. I think it started in 2016 or 2017. I think Steve is in, I think it's a London-based company, but it's a very interesting project. It's been beaten down clearly, but with the emergence of DeFi, it's just poised, I think, in my opinion, of course, not financial advice, my own opinion only. I think this coin is poised to have a nice run up from where it's at. You're looking at a coin that was once over $70, and now it's in the $2 to $3 range. So it's kind of the upside, downside, the upside risk, downside. The downside risk is very low. The upside possibilities are quite high. So that's what you call an asymmetric market. And that's what you want to find. You want to find something that can go up 10x or might be cut in half. That's usually worth a risk of some level if you were to invest. Again, not financial advice, it's up to you. This use case has been around for a long time. Banks are involved heavily in accounts receivable, accounts payable, invoice financing. Smaller, medium-sized businesses have to do this all the time to keep their cash flow positive. All we're doing is democratizing it. We're removing it, decentralizing it, moving it out of the exclusivity of bankers only. They're making the rules like usual. Now, if you have, I don't know, $5, $10, $20,000 and you want to buy an invoice, you can go into the Populous and join the account, set yourself up and buy an invoice if you want. You could do that. And I imagine that there are some people that buy several of them to minimize their risk, spread it around in case one of them goes south and they have to go into collections or whatever. But banks do this all the time. This is a major part of how they make their money. Now you can make that money too, because now not only can you be the bank, but you can be the bank and beat them at their own game. You can be in the bank's world, be in the bank's business. So Populous represents that use case. It's part of the DeFi sector. I think that they're going to launch something pretty big and significant over the summer. The upside is good. This coin is well worth a spot on the board in the DeFi in the finance sector. It's got a lot of upside, not a lot of downside. So it's worth a shot, in my opinion. So with all that said today, I'm going to close the drawer on the bureau, and I'll see you next time.